The Galactic Military Academy had been built to intimidate long before it was built to teach. Its spires pierced the thin violet sky like blades, and its training grounds were carved directly into obsidian bedrock, scarred by centuries of live-fire exercises. Every species that sent its sons here believed fear was the fastest instructor. The Academy encouraged that belief. Cadet Marcus Hale understood fear well enough. He simply refused to wear it on his face. He stood at the edge of Assembly Square, a solitary human among rows of towering, armored alien cadets. Around him were males bred or engineered for war, thick-scaled Cravathi with forward-curving horns, lean Virex duelists whose eyes never stopped moving, and iron-boned Thul soldiers who treated pain as an academic inconvenience. They filled the square with the subtle sounds of dominance, claws scraping stone, plates shifting, low territorial growls disguised as laughter. Marcus was smaller than all of them. No natural armor. No claws. No visible weapons beyond the standard-issue sidearm at his hip. His academy uniform fit him neatly, but it did nothing to disguise what the others saw as his greatest flaw: softness. Still breathing, human, a Cravathi cadet named Raxer called from the second rank. His voice carried easily, layered with amusement. "I heard your kind collapses under stress." A ripple of laughter spread through the formation. Marcus did not respond. He kept his hands clasped behind his back and his gaze forward, fixed on the sealed blast doors at the far end of the square. The doors were massive, reinforced with energy channels and etched with containment sigils. Whatever lay beyond them was not meant to be seen casually. Raxer snorted. No challenge? No insult? Pathetic. Marcus breathed in slowly through his nose. He had learned long ago that reacting gave bullies exactly what they wanted. More importantly, reacting distracted him from observation. And observation, he suspected, was going to matter today. At the raised platform above the square, Commander Vethrak surveyed the cadets with cold satisfaction. The commander was Thul, tall, broad, his metallic skeletal structure visible beneath thin layers of synthesized skin. He had survived 3 sector wars and lost parts of himself in all of them. His voice carried the weight of inevitability. "Today," Vethrak announced, "you will witness the difference between theory and reality." The murmurs quieted. For cycles, you have trained against simulations, against drones, against each other. His gaze swept the formation. Today, you face something that does not care about your ranks, your lineage, or your medals. Marcus felt a subtle tightening in his chest. Not fear. Anticipation. Vethrak continued, "The Academy exists to prepare you for chaos. Therefore, we have engineered chaos." At that, the murmurs returned, sharper now. Several cadets leaned forward, interest outweighing caution. "The war beast," Vethrak said. The name alone caused visible reactions. Even Raxer's confident posture stiffened. Marcus had heard the rumors during his first week, whispered exchanges in corridors, half-finished sentences that ended when instructors passed by. A living weapon grown in a vacuum lab. Neural aggression amplifiers. A creature designed not merely to kill, but to dismantle morale. Cadets injured. One supposedly killed. The Academy denied nothing and confirmed nothing, which in Marcus's experience meant the truth was worse than advertised. "The war beast is not your enemy," Vethrak went on. "It is your test. You will maintain formation. You will observe. And you will learn." Raxer muttered, "Learn how to die," under his breath. Marcus exhaled slowly. His eyes never left the blast doors. The Academy's alarm sounded, low, resonant tones that vibrated through bone and stone alike. Energy locks disengaged one by one, each release punctuated by a heavy mechanical thud. The ground beneath Marcus's boots trembled, just slightly, as if something on the other side had shifted its weight. Around him, cadets adjusted their stances. Claws flexed. Weapons powered on despite standing orders. Fear began to leak into the air, sharp and metallic, and Marcus felt it like static against his skin. He did not like that feeling. He had grown up on Earth, where fear was not abstract, where predators were not theoretical exercises but living things with teeth and hunger. He had learned early that panic was a signal, one that told the wrong creatures exactly where you stood in the food chain. The blast doors parted. Darkness spilled out first, followed by a shape so large it seemed to bend perspective around it. The war beast stepped into the light with a sound like grinding stone. Its body was a layered mass of muscle and armored plating, jointed limbs ending in talons that gouged the obsidian floor with every movement. Multiple eyes opened along its skull, each one tracking motion independently. Its breath came in deep, thunderous pulls that carried the scent of blood and ozone. Several cadets took involuntary steps back. The war beast lifted its head and roared. The sound slammed into the square, a physical force that rattled Marcus's teeth and sent ripples through the formation. Shields flickered. One Virex cadet collapsed to his knees, hands clamped over his auditory slits. Marcus remained standing. He felt the creature's gaze sweep across the crowd, tasting fear, measuring it. He recognized the behavior instantly. Not mindless aggression. Assessment. The war beast had not been released to attack yet. It was deciding who mattered. Commander Vethrak raised one armored hand. "Observe," he commanded. The war beast took another step forward. Marcus swallowed, not in fear, but in focus. His heartbeat slowed instead of racing, his body settling into a familiar, unwelcome calm. He had hoped the rumors were exaggerated. They were not. As the war beast's eyes passed over him, Marcus felt something shift in the air, an almost imperceptible pause, like a breath held too long. He did not move. He did not look away. The creature's head turned back. And this time, it did not pass him by. Around him, alien cadets began to panic in earnest, their confidence cracking under the weight of something that could not be intimidated by size or numbers. Marcus remained still, acutely aware that whatever happened next would define not just his place at the academy, but his species' place within it. The war beast took a deliberate step toward him. The square fell silent. The war beast moved with purpose now, its massive frame no longer merely occupying space but claiming it. Each step sent tremors through the obsidian square, cracks spidering outward beneath its talons. The silence shattered as cadets broke formation, discipline collapsing under the weight of instinct. Fear spilled freely, thick and pungent, and the creature reacted to it immediately. It lunged. A Thul cadet on the left flank was too slow to retreat. The war beast's forelimbs snapped forward, striking with brutal efficiency. Armor folded. The cadet was hurled across the square and slammed into a training pillar, his body going limp before he hit the ground. Alarms flared. Medical drones surged forward, only to hesitate as the beast swung its head toward them, issuing a warning growl that vibrated through the air. "Hold your positions." Commander Vethrak roared from the platform, his voice edged with static as command systems strained to assert control. Containment protocols. Phase 2. Energy barriers snapped into place around the square, translucent walls rising just as the war beast charged again. This time it barreled into a cluster of Kravathi cadets who had grouped together in a defensive wedge. Their horns lowered, shields interlocked. They met the creature head-on with practiced ferocity. It did not matter. The war beast struck the formation like a meteor. Two cadets were flung aside instantly, their shields shattering in showers of light. A third was pinned to the ground beneath the creature's weight, his roar of defiance cut short as talons closed around his torso. The beast lifted him, studied him briefly, then hurled him away as if bored. Marcus watched it all without moving. His muscles were coiled, ready, but his mind remained clear. He tracked the creature's movements, noting how its eyes dilated when a cadet screamed, how its posture shifted toward clusters rather than lone targets. It was feeding on panic, drawn to the loudest signals of distress. Raxar, the Kravathi who had mocked him earlier, stumbled backward and collided with Marcus. Up close, the alien's bravado had vanished. His breathing was ragged, his pupils blown wide. "Why isn't it stopping?" Raxar snarled, though the question sounded more like a plea. "They said it would respond to dominance displays." Marcus did not look at him. "You're showing it what it wants," he said quietly. Raxa recoiled as if struck, then the war beast roared again, cutting off any response. It pivoted sharply, its attention snapping to a group of Virex cadets attempting to flank it. They moved with speed and precision, blades flashing, aiming for joints and sensory nodes. The first blade struck. It glanced off the creature's armor, leaving only a shallow groove. The war beast reacted instantly, twisting with impossible agility for its size. Its tail lashed out, catching two Virex mid-leap and slamming them into the barrier hard enough to make it ripple. One slid down the energy field, unconscious before he hit the ground. The instructors' voices overlapped in a chaotic chorus as override commands were issued in rapid succession. Neural dampeners, pain inhibitors, kill switch contingencies. None of them took hold. The war beast shook its head, a low, irritated sound rumbling from its chest, and its aggression spiked rather than diminished. "It's escalating," one of the tactical officers barked. "Fear feedback loop is off the scale." Marcus felt a cold certainty settle in his gut. They had built a creature to terrify and then acted surprised when terror made it stronger. The war beast turned again, its many eyes scanning the square. It ignored the fallen and the fleeing, dismissing them as spent stimuli. Its gaze locked onto movement, on a Thul cadet who was standing his ground, bellowing a challenge and pounding his armored fists together in a display of dominance. The creature charged. The Thul roared back and braced himself, his metallic frame gleaming under the harsh lights. For a heartbeat, it looked like he might hold. Then the war beast slammed into him, driving him backward with relentless force. The ground buckled. The Thul's roar turned into a metallic shriek as the creature forced him to his knees. Marcus took a step forward before he consciously realized he was moving. Raxer grabbed his arm. "Are you insane?" he hissed. "It will kill you." Marcus shook him off. "It's already killing us." The war beast finished with a Thul cadet and rose to its full height. Its chest heaved, breath steaming in the cool air. Slowly, deliberately, it turned its head toward Marcus. This time, there was no confusion in its focus. The distance between them was suddenly very small. Marcus could hear his own heartbeat now, steady and slow, a counterpoint to the chaos around him. He adjusted his stance without thinking, planting his feet firmly, letting his shoulders drop. He forced his breathing into an even rhythm, resisting the urge to tense. He was acutely aware of every eye on him, alien cadets frozen in shock, instructors shouting orders that no one was obeying. The war beast advanced, each step measured. It was no longer reacting to fear. It was approaching a question. Marcus held its gaze. He saw curiosity there, layered beneath aggression. Calculation. This was not a monster unleashed blindly. It was a predator seeking to understand an anomaly. When the war beast was less than 10 meters away, the energy barriers flickered. Systems strained under the combined stress of containment failure and biological threat response. Commander Vethrak's voice cut through the noise, sharp with alarm. "Hail, retreat." "That is an order." Marcus did not move. The war beast lowered its head, its eyes aligning, all of them fixed on the human alone. Its muscles bunched, ready to strike with lethal finality. The Academy held its breath. Then, instead of charging, the creature slowed. Its roar faded into a low, uncertain rumble as it studied Marcus at close range. Talons flexed, carving grooves into the stone, but they did not close around him. The air between them vibrated with tension, with something unspoken passing from one predator to another. Marcus stood unarmed, unarmored, and unyielding. The war beast halted completely, its massive frame looming over him, frozen in a moment that no one at the Academy had ever witnessed before. And no one could explain. The war beast's breath washed over Marcus in heavy, heated gusts, carrying the raw scent of muscle and ozone. At this distance, the creature filled his vision completely, a living wall of engineered violence. One careless movement would be enough to trigger the strike he knew it was capable of. He did not make one. Instead, he focused on the smallest details. the rise and fall of its chest, the way its forward eyes narrowed while the outer ones remained alert, the subtle shift of its weight, not toward him, but away from immediate attack. These were not the signals of a creature mid-lunge. They were the signals of hesitation. Behind him, the academy remained frozen in collective disbelief. Cadets who had moments ago been screaming now stood silent, their instincts at war with what their eyes were telling them. Instructors shouted into dead command channels, their voices stripped of authority by the simple fact that nothing they said was changing the moment unfolding below. Marcus felt the familiar echo of old memories stir, early mornings on Earth, standing still in forests where predators still ruled their territory. He remembered being taught that animals did not fear strength first. They feared certainty. A steady presence meant experience. Experience meant danger. The war beast tilted its head. Marcus exhaled slowly, deliberately, letting the breath leave his body without tension. His hands hung loose at his sides, fingers unclenched, palms open. He did not stare aggressively, but he did not look away either. His gaze remained steady, acknowledging the creature without challenging it. The low rumble in the war beast's chest shifted in pitch. Its talons scraped once against the stone, then stilled. Several of its eyes blinked in slow sequence, as if recalibrating. "What is it doing?" Raxer whispered somewhere behind Marcus, his voice thin with disbelief. No one answered him. The war beast leaned forward just enough that its shadow swallowed Marcus completely. One massive claw lifted, hovering in the air between them. The Academy's sensors spiked in response, alarms flaring briefly before cutting out again under system strain. Marcus swallowed, the movement slow and controlled. His pulse remained steady, not because he felt no fear, but because he refused to let it lead. Fear was a tool, not a master. He had learned that lesson the hard way. The claw lowered, stopping a hand span from his chest. For a heartbeat that stretched impossibly long, predator and human regarded one another in silence. Then Marcus did something no training manual would have suggested. He spoke. "Easy," he said quietly. The word carried no command, no threat. It was not dominance, nor submission. It was recognition. The war beast reacted instantly. Its head snapped back, not in anger, but in surprise. A ripple passed through its body, the armored plates along its spine shifting as its posture changed. The claw withdrew, talons retracting slightly. A stunned murmur rippled through the assembled cadets. Marcus continued to breathe evenly, his voice low and steady. "You don't need to fight," he added, not because he believed the creature understood the words, but because the tone mattered. Calm was a language older than speech. The war beast circled him slowly, each step deliberate. Its eyes never left Marcus, but its aggression no longer spiked. Instead, its movements mirrored assessment behaviors Marcus recognized instinctively. It was testing boundaries, not seeking to break them. Commander Vethrak descended from the platform despite shouted protests from his staff. He stopped at the edge of the square, his hardened expression fractured by something dangerously close to awe. "That creature was designed to ignore vocal input," he muttered, more to himself than anyone else. "It should not be responding." But it was. The war beast paused directly in front of Marcus again. Slowly, almost cautiously, it lowered its massive head. The motion was unmistakable to anyone who understood body language, even across species. It was not an attack posture. It was deference. Marcus felt a tremor run through his legs then, the delayed reaction of adrenaline finally finding an outlet. He held his ground anyway. The moment was fragile, balanced on the edge of misunderstanding. The war beast released a low, controlled sound, nothing like its earlier roar. Its many eyes closed halfway, sensory focus narrowing rather than expanding. The tension in its muscles bled away, replaced by something that looked dangerously like restraint. Around them, the academy was silent. Raxer dropped to one knee without realizing he had done so. Other cadets followed, not out of fear of the creature, but out of instinctive response to a hierarchy they did not yet understand. Marcus slowly raised one hand, stopping well short of contact. He did not touch the creature. He did not need to. The gesture alone was enough to signal intent. The war beast did not flinch. Instead, it lowered itself further, its immense frame settling onto the stone with a controlled heaviness that sent a final tremor through the square. Its head bowed, massive and terrible, before a human who had neither struck nor threatened it. Marcus let out the breath he had been holding for far too long. Behind him, systems finally stabilized, energy barriers humming back into steady existence. Medics rushed the wounded. Instructors stared, their understanding of engineered supremacy unraveling in real time. The war beast remained still. And for the first time since its creation, it was not the most dangerous presence in the academy. The war beast remained where it had settled, its massive form unmoving except for the slow, measured rise and fall of its chest. Containment teams approached in cautious formation, weapons powered but lowered, unsure whether the slightest provocation would shatter the fragile calm. They need not have worried. The creature did not acknowledge them at all. Its attention remained fixed on Marcus. Commander Vethrak stepped forward, every instinct forged by decades of war telling him this moment would redefine the academy. He stopped several paces from Marcus, his metal-framed body rigid, his voice carefully controlled. "Hail," he said, "explain." Marcus turned his head slightly, but did not break the line of presence he had established with the war beast. "It isn't broken," he said. "It's doing what it was designed to do." Vethrak's brow ridges tightened. "It was designed to dominate." "No," Marcus replied. "It was designed to hunt fear." The words carried through the square, quiet but impossible to ignore. Several instructors exchanged uneasy looks as understanding began to take shape. Marcus lowered his raised hand and finally stepped back. The war beast did not follow. Its eyes tracked him briefly, then returned to a neutral focus. At a signal from Vethrak, neural dampeners were reintroduced at minimal strength. This time, the creature did not resist. It allowed the containment field to form around it, docile as it was guided back toward the massive blast doors. As the doors sealed, the weight of what had happened settled over the academy like gravity. Medical crews worked quickly among the injured, their movements efficient but subdued. Cadets stood in loose clusters, speaking in low voices, their earlier arrogance replaced by something quieter and more dangerous to pride: uncertainty. Raxer approached Marcus slowly, his horns lowered not in challenge, but in acknowledgement. His voice, when he spoke, lacked its former edge. "You didn't fight it," he said. "You didn't even threaten it." Marcus met his gaze evenly. "Most predators don't need to," he replied. Raxer absorbed that in silence, then inclined his head and stepped away, the gesture rippling outward as others followed suit. The human who had been dismissed as weak now occupied a place none of them had anticipated. Later, in the observation chamber overlooking the now-reinforced containment wing, Marcus stood before a semicircle of senior officers. Data streamed across holographic displays, biometric spikes, behavioral anomalies, response curves that defied every predictive model the Academy possessed. The war beast identified Cadet Hale as an apex presence, one analyst said, disbelief coloring his tone. Without physical dominance indicators. "Impossible," another muttered. "Humans lack the mass, the weaponry." "They have coexistence," Vethrak interrupted. "They evolved alongside predators that could not be outmatched by force alone." Marcus remained silent, hands clasped behind his back, letting them dissect what they could not yet fully comprehend. When Vethrak finally turned to him, the commander's gaze was no longer dismissive. "You did not follow protocol," Vethrak said. "No, sir." "You endangered yourself and others." "Yes, sir." A pause stretched between them. Then Vethrak inclined his head, just slightly. "You also prevented a massacre." The room stilled. "Effective immediately," Vethrak continued. "You are reassigned. You will no longer train as standard infantry." Several officers protested, but Vethrak silenced them with a raised hand. "You will serve as a behavioral consultant," he said, "attached to the Academy's xenopsychology division. Your insight will be incorporated into future training and containment doctrine." Marcus felt a flicker of something he had not expected, unease. He had come to the academy to prove humanity belonged. He had not anticipated becoming evidence. "Yes, sir," he said. Word spread quickly. By the next cycle, academy records were being quietly amended. Human threat assessments were revised. Tactical simulations adjusted. Where humans had once been categorized as physically inferior auxiliaries, a new designation appeared beside their name. Unpredictable. Apex adjacent. Marcus stood alone on the balcony overlooking the training grounds as cadets resumed drills below. The academy looked the same as it always had, harsh, unyielding, built on fear. But something fundamental had shifted within its walls. He knew this would not be the end. The galaxy would not be satisfied with quiet reclassifications and internal reports. They would want demonstrations, replications, control. Humans had spent their history living with things that could kill them. They had learned, painfully, that survival was not about domination, but understanding. As the sun dipped behind the academy spires, Marcus watched the shadows lengthen and wondered how long it would take before the rest of the galaxy realized the truth. Fear had never been humanity's greatest weapon. It had been what they learned to master.